All right, excellent. So, can you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and your business for everyone?
Sure. I'm Jenn Tendero, and I co-founded and run Keep, a cleaning company with Max, um, who can introduce himself.
Yeah, I'm Max Tendero. I'm Jen's son. Co-founded Keep. Graduated from the University of Michigan in 2020. Launched a media startup. Ran that for around 2 years. Wound that down the end of last summer and last fall. And then at the same time, I founded Keep, a cleaning company with Jen.
Excellent. So, Jen, let's start with you. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Give us a little bit about yourself there.
Yep. I was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Got married after undergrad and moved to New York City and did my master's degree at Columbia Teachers College. Taught in New York City. Moved back, had Max in New York City 2 weeks before I graduated. And a year later, we moved back to Michigan. And between then and now, we've had four other children and adopted one more. Our youngest, who's 13. Max is the oldest. And I've been working for the past almost decade in the nonprofit leadership position, doing design and communications for nonprofit that delivers emergency relief in war zones, actually, and works with
Wow,
displaced people. So, yeah.
excellent. That's amazing. Max, a little bit about yourself.
There we go. Sorry. Jen touched on it a little bit, but I was born to her and Tony. My dad grew up mostly in Western Michigan, a short stint in the South for around 6 months, then came back up. Went to University of Michigan, studied political science there. Um, Worked a few different jobs over the summers there. One on the West Coast for a tech startup. Then I graduated. I launched a company called Civil Media. The idea being that we wanted to deliver news to middle and high school social studies teachers in a way that was balanced, right? So, we provided different perspectives on the current events of that day and the news, and then offered ways for them to tie it to their classes, like government and civics and all of that stuff. So I ran that for around 2 years. Ended up shutting that down, stopping development um, last fall. So fall of 2022.
Excellent. Max, let's stay with you. Growing up, what were some of your favorite things to do as a kid? Uh, did you know you kind of wanted to be in business later, or was it sports related, or
Yeah.
history,
Um,
or anything?
yeah. No, that's a good question. I I did a bunch of different stuff as a kid. I kind of went through different phases. Like I went through a big phase where I was, outside. I was doing a lot of camping and fishing and all of that stuff. Went through a sports phase, so um, that playing sports, watching sports, following sports, all that stuff. Um, I The first business that I started was actually a custom knife company with
Forgot
my
about this.
cousin. We basically would take like cool different like handles from different like kinds of antler or horn or whatever, and then we would like custom order knife. I don't know. We custom order knives from like Europe or something, and then we would assemble them. I don't know if sales grossed more than $100, but it was fun. We created a website, and so that was my first business. And I enjoyed it. I put together a passion of what I had with something that I thought I could create and make money off of. It the latter didn't end up working out. But um, then when I went to school and when I went to Michigan, I wanted to get into sports medicine. But then I took a basic biology class and realized that like the actual science involved with a lot of that was different than like, oh, it'd be cool to hang out with like professional, sports players. So I pivoted away from that to political science. I launched another company the summer of my freshman year of college, basically where we were doing like landscaping for cottage owners' dunes on the shore of Lake Michigan. So that was good. I ran that for a summer, good experience there. I guess that was my foray into the service space. So I don't know. I guess I could summarize all by saying like I've had a bunch of different experiences, and I think the one kind of overarching thing that I took away, whether it was from my media startup post college or my internships during college, was I didn't like being segmented to just doing one thing, and starting businesses gave me the chance to do a lot of different things, and that was something that I enjoyed. I found when I was doing tech sales for a summer after my junior year, I just got bored of it. Like I was only doing sales, and so I like the kind of creativity and wearing much different hats that owning your own business provides, and that Keep has given me for sure. So
excellent. Jen, how about you?
My dad found himself unexpectedly running the family company, making chair parts when he was in college. His dad got really sick. It wasn't a successful company at all. In fact, in high school, my dad remembers that his father borrowed money from him in order to make like the mortgage payment. My dad's been an entrepreneur for as long as he can remember. And so my dad grew the company into a huge success. Got sick himself, very sick, and was given a couple of years to live, and sold the company because realized that making money wasn't the way that he wanted to spend if he had it last a few years. He was healed from that and is alive today and well. And so I think he put that like entrepreneurial spirit in me, but he also instilled in me a real desire to serve others. And so I did not go the entrepreneurial route. After college, I went the route of, I don't know, like I chose the path of descent, I guess. And so, so have spent most of my adult life working on behalf of the poor, with those who are poor, who are unhoused, who struggle with addiction. When Max was 5 or 6, we moved into a really rough neighborhood on purpose in order just to be present there. And so, so I haven't really dabbled in many entrepreneurial things. We've started nonprofits, but Keep is the very first like building from the ground up kind of thing. And I'm so immensely proud of where we are and how we got here. It's all like research based, and Google it, mom, to find out how you're supposed to do it, and trying to find answers and just building this thing from scratch with a few tweets that were really helpful early on, where people who owned remote cleaning companies would tweet about like the tech stack that they used. And so we just took that and copied it. But that sentence is really easy to say, and it takes months to actually do, right? Yes. Because it's a long haul to learn accounting when you've never done accounting, to connect all the different platforms so that they work together, to set up Stripe. Good Lord, took a while, and
Yes.
So yeah, so it's been this massive, massive learning curve, but I think we're doing it.
Excellent. I mean, you're already busting out all answers to my next questions. Like,
okay.
When you were younger, what you wanted to get into, family. So your family, it sounds like every there was business mindset that just kind of got passed down generation to generation, and it stuck, even though, your nonprofits are nonprofits and it's more volunteering and helping others. It's still a business. You still need to
Mm,
figure out where to get money
yeah.
and where to allocate it to get the most return to help these people. So
Mhm.
wonderful things that you guys are definitely doing. And Max, you said that you have a background in, or you went to school, and then your degree, was it business?
My degree was political science. I had
Political science.
a entrepreneurship minor, which, you know, I think I got some good exposure to different kind of, I guess, like frameworks. I think like the education that entrepreneurs really get is from actually doing it. But like, so basically, I guess that minor, like every class there, could be kind of boiled down to like the teacher saying, "Okay, I'm gonna lecture for like a month, and then you're gonna use that and actually like try to start something," which I think was really great. Like, I probably my favorite little venture that we did was I started a fanny pack brand that was called Fanny's Back because we were trying to bring fannies back. We were like, fannies are back.
And they
They're
actually are now.
They are. Yes, they
well,
are.
they are.
So it
I don't
wasn't
know if
because of you, but
no. We were not the fanny pack trailblazers, but I don't know. Like it was fun, kind of thinking through like how to design, that like what kind of features people were looking for. Like we ran a marketing, I guess, like bit where it was called Pockets Suck, and like our whole thing was like, you have all these stupid pockets, like you don't want to be putting everything in there, you just put it in your fanny. And so we would just like walk around and we would yell Pocket Suck at people. I don't know, so it was just like fun stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't major in it, but I definitely had some kind of structured exposure to that kind of stuff, to entrepreneurship and starting things, and like all, the 4C's marketing framework and all of those things.
Excellent. Jen, how about yourself?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Uh, what's your experience and background more so with school? Did you go to college for business, or did you have another
Oh gosh,
major?
no. No, I went to undergrad to be a teacher with an English double major in education and English. And then I got my master's in English education. So there's nothing in my background to prepare me for anything that we really do. I will say that my work in the nonprofit world in the past 6 years has been marketing and really trying to decide or create a way to stand out in the noise of all the nonprofits asking for money. How do you design a it's not even that the I think the work that we were doing in our nonprofit was really compelling, but how do you write the best story? Because whoever writes the best story wins, right? In terms of getting the most donations. And so my job
Absolutely.
was to write the best story. And that has definitely carried over as we've created Keep and thought, how do we make Keep stand out from all the other Shine Time Cleaning and, Clean R Us and whatever it is, like all the companies that are competing to come into your home. What is going to make us different? What is the story that we're going to tell different? So we've come up with, I think, a couple of different things that make us stand out. But so that is where I see the crossover from my work doing design work and marketing communications for nonprofit has definitely influenced the way that we talk about Keep and market Keep.
Excellent. So let's go closer or segue to the business now. So first and foremost, why? Why did you guys decide to start the business?
Max?
Yeah. So I before we started the business, I as I was running my last startup, Civil, I was relative, like I was on Twitter a decent amount, just trying to learn from people who are doing similar things. Get connected with investors and VCs, and kind of in the general startup space. I was following some people. I think the first person that I followed was Nick Huber. He's like the sweaty startup self storage guy. His content, in my opinion, has gone down the hill a little bit. It's less informative and more just him trying to get engagement. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But
Might not want to just, we can just cut that part from that.
Yeah. But I do admire what he's built. Anyway, so I was following him for a while, and I really admired or thought that it was cool, this idea of the difference in the kind of service company versus what I was trying to build. Like, we were trying to build, we as in Civil, my last company, that the media startup, was trying to develop this new product and then convince people that they needed it, and then generate demand for it, and then also while we're doing all of that, raise money from investors as well. It was like this many-headed beast. We just had a bunch of different things that we were trying to tackle. And with the service companies, I thought that it was really elegant how there is already demand. There's already a very clearly defined product, and the challenge was merely to optimize the delivery of that product or service, right? With technology that's fairly easy to use for the average person who may not be experts in that field, right? We aren't cleaners for our whole lives. I decided to start this. I mean, like we know what constitutes a clean house, but we're not lifelong cleaners. So I was really as I was winding down my last startup, I was starting to kind of think, okay, like, what is next? And I kind of came back to this idea of these service companies, these service startups. And again, I thought it was cool that you could disrupt kind of like a mom and pop style shop with a fairly rudimentary tech stack. So I actually was I was on the West Coast in August of this last year, and I came across this tweet. I forget who it was. I think it was I think it was like Johnny Robinson.
I think it was Johnny Robinson.
Something like that. Yeah. He's in Orange County. And so he basically tweeted like, the 8-step framework to start your own home cleaning company remotely. And I texted it to my mom because she was also phasing out of her last job. So we were both kind of in this transitionary period. And, I thought it'd be fun to work on it with her. I also thought it'd be something that'd be good, that'd be productive for both of us to do and, spend our time on as we figured out what was next. And so I texted to her, and I don't know if we went back and forth ever, but she was like, yeah, I think that we should start this. And then so she actually ran with it. Like she did a lot of the upfront work because I was still in the process of winding down. I was trying to raise money / wind down this previous startup. And so she just had more time. So from there, from August 17th, then she, I would say, did the bulk of the work till I came on, maybe in like, I was still helping out, but like November-ish was when it started to kind of even out a little more. But I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Mom. But
well, I'm a fairly impulsive person, and I also make decisions on a dime. So I've like bought a house for our family without even seeing it, just looking at pictures online. So it's when he texted me about a cleaning company, my first thought was like, honestly, and this is really classist of me, but like, I didn't go to graduate school to like start a cleaning company. It just felt like it didn't feel like a creative thing. It felt really boring. But then when I started to read into the tweets that he sent, it almost felt like that was a challenge. It like laid down in front of us. Could we build something that isn't boring, that is interesting, that makes money? And the thing that I was really interested in is how could this benefit the women and men that we work with, not just us? Like, and that to me is an essential piece of what we do, that we designed this with the idea that we would pay our cleaners a living wage, and they would be able to make enough money working for us to put food on the table and not have to like stress and be anxious about providing for their
Second,
families.
third, fourth job potentially.
Yeah, yeah. And to me, that was like, I'm not interested in building something off of the backs of like people who are working their tails off for us while we sit around. And, you know, like that just didn't, that doesn't, that's not
Right.
who I am. That's not who we are. And so it was like, well, let's see. You know? And I was at the point where we'd had a change of leadership at my previous job. I was in executive leadership, but the founder and CEO left abruptly, and that precipitated a change for me. And so I found myself really needing to do something and needing to be in. I went from being in a creative space every day, trying to tell the best story, to having no story to tell and really floundering. And so this was a life ring in some ways, just when Max sent me that tweet and said, "What do you think?" And I think it was like by noon, I had registered for like a federal identification number. We ended up not even using that company name because we, in the end, thought it was a bad name. So the process of building was really redemptive for me. I spent the next 2 months, like I said, just learning about all the different systems that we needed. And I'll be forthright and say that BookingKoala was the most challenging thing to build. It was by far the most intimidating. I mean, I probably looked at it and like shut my computer for a good 3 or 4 days because it was so intimidating. And once I got into it, and once I actually like dove in and said, we can't build this without without a platform in order to book, then it became much easier. And the more we did it, the easier it became. But yeah, so I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's kind of how we started. And I will also say that when Max sent me the tweet about how you could build a 6-figure company, it sounded like a scam. It really just sounded like there's no way, this can't be real. I will say the only semi-scam part of it is that I don't know how people do this as a side hustle. I mean, I have another job. I have a 30-hour-a-week job, 25-hour-a-week job that I do in the nonprofit world. But that only means I'm working 60, 65 hours a week. I mean, like, I don't know how people do this at least the first 6 months as a side hustle and make money. And maybe if we had done it as a side hustle, we'd still be grossing, you know, $10,000-$15,000 a month, but that wasn't our goal. So.
Sure. I mean, you've said a lot of great things. One thing I definitely wanted to touch on, it is boring, but boring is, like you said, Matt, tried and true. It's not, you're not really reinventing the wheel here. It's people need the service, and there are companies out there that are making, 6 figures plus and doing a horrible job at it. Customers are upset, their workers are upset. So why not disrupt the industry as a mother and son duo who is going to pay a living wage and then some to their workers and still do right by everybody else? That's the beautiful thing that we're trying to build here. And again, another thing you touched on, BookingKoala is very, very intensive, and there are so many features. And that, I guess, comes with it not just being for cleaning services, but the whole service industry. So there's features that will apply to some and not others. But once you dive in and kind of just take, as crazy as it is, a few days to maybe a week to really just play with everything and set it up, with either the test data or make some data yourself, you will learn a lot. And it does so much for you to get everything in one spot, but there are other softwares that you're using too as well. So it's a lot to take in, but once you do get in there, like you said, once you finally get in and learn it all, we think it's helpful, and I think we're doing the best. So yeah. And you kind of already touched a little bit when you started August of last year, 2022. Talk a little bit about time frame in that. Is it, beginning of August, more so you, Jen, you started, because Max said he came in November with, evening out the roles.
Yeah, I had all the time that I needed, when the kids were in school. And so, and I had the need to create something and build something. That's just how I'm wired. And so this really filled that need. Everything from designing a custom website through BookingKoala to thinking about the colors and the logo and how everything works together and how much we would have to pay our cleaners in order to make our profit margin not disappear. How much we would charge. That was probably the most, the thing that we took the longest to get right. Max got to the point where he was like, we're not changing our prices today, because it was like every day I just was like, somebody said it was too expensive. We need to lower our prices. And we started out really high and then we went really low. And now we're somewhere in the middle, I think. I think we found a sweet spot. Recently, we just opened up short-term rentals. So we're doing quite a few short-term rentals. That's a whole separate industry that I've just created in BookingKoala with a separate price structure. But for the very beginning in August, we started doing the registering our business with the state of Michigan and with the federal government, getting Google verified. That took a lot longer than we thought it would take. It was like, you get Google My Business verified when they send a postcard to your physical address, but you don't get verified on Google local service ads until you have 5 positive reviews. So we needed to hire people and then do test cleans in exchange for, if they were pleased, they would write a positive review. So that took a really long time. But that bought me time to really develop the website and to think about what is it that's going to set us aside from other cleaning companies. So one of the first weeks, I called maybe a dozen local cleaning companies in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I said, I would like a quote to clean my house. I gave them the square footage. There was not one company that offered online booking immediately. I could fill out a form that I think probably would take about 5-10 minutes to fill out. But nobody offered online instant booking. Nobody gave me a quote over the phone to clean my house. They all made an appointment to come out. And I just, that to me is a broken system, because I don't think that's the way that people operate anymore. And so I realized that there was a need in our area. If I, as an educated woman, trying to get somebody to clean my house, if I had to work that hard to try to get a booking, then I wanted to make it easier for people who need their houses cleaned. Because I think one thing I know from personal experience as a mom of 6 kids is that I can tolerate my home the way it is up until a point, until the moment where it's like, I can't take this one more second. It is, I'm going to lose my mind if this place doesn't get cleaned. And so I know that there's this urgency that comes with cleaning. And we found that, and people call all the time and they want a clean this week or tomorrow or even today. So we wanted to be able to offer that service to people. And I think we have.
Excellent. So how much did you guys invest when you first started?
I can tell you that exactly. I made, or I should say my husband and I made a short-term loan to keep, I think about $2,300 that we paid off within the 3 months that we started. And those startup costs were, went to the tech stack that we used. It went to pay cleaners out of pocket. I don't know what else, Max.
Working with our accountant, was that in there or no?
No, not then. Anyway, yeah, just different fees, and I think it was about $2,300. Most of it was, we'd have a cleaner clean, and we hadn't set up Stripe yet, and so I needed to just Venmo her money. So yeah, it was about $2,300.
And did you go to the independent contractor route or the employee route?
I see.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, what made you choose the IC versus the employee?
Easy.
Yeah.
Easier to handle. Don't have to buy the supplies.
Yeah. We're kind of fiercely debating that right now because I want to hire W-2s for the summer season to clean short-term rentals. But it really is so easy to get your own insurance through, online liability insurance that Max might be right. There might not be any real reason to do that. We could just use independent contractors.
Excellent. Don't have to give me an exact number, ballpark from when, or let's start here. When was your first official clean? Not test clean, but like your first customer.
Maxie?
I think it was early September?
No.
Or was it October?
It was either early October or late September.
October. Yeah, it was early October or late September.
So in the 7-8 months since, what have you guys done total revenue since then?
I'm looking at that right now. We've done around 120,000.
Oh my gosh, that is phenomenal, guys. I have to say congratulations, because that is huge numbers.
Seriously, Max?
Seriously.
Wow,
that's big.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, excellent work. What do you guys? Let's talk more about that, because that is just so fantastic.
Is that not typical? We honestly don't know. I'm not being coy.
I mean, it all depends, because it depends on who's running the business, how much time they have to, whether they're working 40 or 50-hour weeks with a full-time job, because like you said, with it being, if people are trying to do a side hustle, you're not going to grow quickly if you're not putting in the time. Putting in the time is everything. So you guys obviously,
we put in the time, trust me.
You put in the time, and there's two of you, a lot of people are trying to do it solo. So when they have a full-time job and a family and kids and pets and whatnot, their time just keeps shrinking. So for you guys to do that.
Now that's gross, right, Michael? Just to let you know, that's gross. That is not even close to profit. Okay.
But it's still, that's phenomenal. So let's talk about hiring. What are your, if you're doing 120,000, you guys have some fantastic cleaners. What does your hiring funnel look like? And talk a little bit about your practices for hiring.
hmm Yeah, so I handle the majority of the interviewing and the hiring, so I guess I can take that. So our hiring funnel now looks like we have ads on Indeed as our primary one. So we'll have job postings on there. We'll post in local Facebook groups. Jen does a lot of that. We also use care.com. I believe we've hired maybe one or two people from there. So those are kind of our three intake points. We've had a few references that actually didn't work out, for not because they were bad cleaners, just like one of them didn't have a vehicle and something else. So that's our top of funnel. Then we have them apply via a form on our website. That's just basic questions: name, email, phone number. How many years of cleaning experience do you have? How many hours a week are you looking for? Do you have insurance? Just kind of helps us intake there. We recently added a question. I'm not sure if this is verbatim, but it's, why do you clean, or why do you want to work for Keep? So from there, then I will go through the applicants there. We have a template on our open phone, so then I'll just reach out to the ones that I think might be good fits. I would say response rate to like texting people like, hey, and the template is something like, hey, my name is Max, I work with Keep. Thanks for taking the time to apply on our site. I'd love to chat with you over the phone sometime the next week or so. I'd say response rate to that is around 50%. Then I schedule the phone call with them. Say around half of those actually show. We have around half the ones that we scheduled that just don't show, which means that I save time and saves us trouble down the road. So it honestly isn't the worst thing in the world. So then I'll do a interview with each of our potential cleaners. It's around 15 minutes. Just asking about their backgrounds, walk them through our company, kind of our story, the role, and answer any questions that they might have. I would say the most important question that I've kind of keyed in on, and what I'm really listening for, is their motivation. And so what caused them to want to apply. And we found, not unanimously, but close to it, that our best cleaners are the ones who clean because they like to clean, who clean because they like bringing order to people's homes, who clean because it's therapeutic and relaxing. Like those are a lot of the cleaners that do really well for us. And so that's become like one of my bigger kind of like green flags. Is if I hear that and someone is like, oh my gosh, I've been cleaning for my whole life, I love it, and you guys, and so that paired with, I want to work for Keep because you guys pay more. I'm looking for flexibility. That's been a big marker for us. Then we'll schedule a test clean at my mom's home in West Michigan. I'm currently in the process of actually moving to the other side of the state. I'm moving to Detroit, which is about 2 hours away. But so we'll schedule a test clean at the house. And we do that for a number of reasons. One, because we want to meet the cleaners. We want to see what they're like in person, not just over the phone. We want to see if they show up, right? We don't want, their first clean to be with a client. We had a test clean scheduled this morning at 9 with somebody who I thought was great, just didn't show up. Haven't heard anything from her. So that's like, a bullet that we dodged down the road. So meeting them because we want to see if they show up. And also at third, our home gives a standardized house to touch clean. If we do touch cleans at random client's home, some cleaner might be going into a situation that's super dirty, one that is really clean, a client that's picky. And so we can control that variable. And then fourth, and probably most best potentially, is my mom gets her house cleaned, which is great. And she gets it cleaned at cost. So so those four reasons make it to where like it makes a lot of sense to us, again, to meet the cleaner, to see if they show up, standardization of the test clean, and then for the low cost clean. So then from there, then we'll usually meet and chat, and then we'll start off giving them a clean or two, and go from there. At the beginning, we do give them, as a suggestion, right, to kind of try to keep within the bounds what we can do with 1099s. We give them a cleaning checklist that kind of goes over, here's everything that we would suggest that you do at the clean. It's and so they kind of have an idea of what's expected from them. So that's kind of the start to finish hiring funnel, and it's working pretty well for us. I mean, hiring is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest bottleneck.
Oh my gosh.
In our business, it's not marketing, it's not new clients, it's not any of that. It's like reliable labor, and so right now we're working with, I think, like 13 or 14 ICs total, from Grand Rapids to the Lakeshore. So an hour and a half of travel time, that way.
Excellent. And I just want to clarify for whoever's watching this, you don't tell them that your mom is the owner of the company when they do the test. You don't want to let them know any of that, or do you?
We do.
We do. We do. It depends. We for a while, we didn't do that, and we were like, hey, it felt a little bit, I guess, like disingenuous. Be like, hey, you're going to this random person's house to clean. I mean, I don't have anything against that. I mean, we found that, like, generally, if cleaners do a good job, then they are generally going to be good. I mean, it like what we're looking for at the test clean is cleaners going above and beyond. It's like, do they take the dish towels and fold them? Do they make sure that the salt shakers and the butter all looks good on that tray? Do they take the toilet paper roll and like fold it and whatever? Like it's those kinds of things that, even though people know that it's their potential boss's home, a lot of cleaners don't do. So yeah, that is, yeah, like I know a lot of people that kind of don't treat it, or just kind of say, hey, you're just going to clean this house, but we don't do that. We haven't really found that to be completely necessary, but also that's just our case.
Excellent. What about, you said that's your biggest, I guess, pain point. Let's go a little towards marketing now. Talk about your marketing strategies, successful tactics there. You guys already talked about, Google and setting up my business page. Are you doing LSA, or tell me about that?
Yeah, do you want to take it?
No, go ahead, babe.
I would say, I know local service ads has been far and away our greatest marketing channel. I think for a couple reasons. That the area that we're in isn't a huge city. It's like 250, 300,000 people, right? So it's not like New York or Chicago or anything like that. And I say that because, as you heard from Jen earlier, like a lot of the cleaning companies that we called were not very tech literate, where it's like, they don't offer an online booking process that's seamless. You have to go in and they want to do a walkthrough, whatever. So I say all that because I think that local service ads just at baseline gives us a competitive advantage over some of the other cleaning companies in our region. I also know from talking to other people in other markets, like kind of New York, New Jersey area, Las Vegas, California, their cost per lead on Google is like $30, $40. Ours is like 15. So that is, we just got lucky in that sense to where, we're able to source leads for pretty cheap. We also are closing at between 40 and 50% of our leads through there. So yeah, that's been far and away our biggest growth driver. Posting in local Facebook groups has been useful as well, to a certain extent. Google My Business, we posted on that page some. We actually are just hiring a VA to do kind of some more of that marketing work. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much mostly been local service ads and word of mouth for us. It's funny. I've had on my kind of like a macro list of things that I want to get done for Keep, like for a couple months, I had like marketing for real, right? Where it was like not just this kind of like local service ads, sort of like passive stuff, but like, yard signs, door hangers, reaching out to realtors, which we did do some in the beginning. A friend in the area is a realtor, so she got us a big email list, which worked all right. But yeah, like doing some more of that active marketing, and it was just like we kept on getting so much business through local service ads, and we kept on having to hire and like do all this stuff and like scheduling that like I would just never have, like I would always get to the end of the week and I was like, okay, like it's been a busy week and I haven't had time to do that. So
but we're still at that point.
We are. So we are hiring a VA. I actually have an onboarding call with her later today, part-time, to kind of take off or to take on some of that marketing stuff and do some more of our back-end work so that we can do more of the active marketing. But the short answer to your question is local service ads, like far and away. And we eventually want to get away. Like we don't want to be completely reliant on that, because it is a newer product, a newer service through Google. Something happens, they change the back end, they change, what kind of companies show up and whatever. And we don't want to be beholden to that. The last thing that I'll say with local service ads is our emphasis has been on getting positive reviews on Google. That I would say is that goes hand in hand with the local service ads. That I think is why, we're able to get high quality leads. Google keeps on feeding us leads. I think we have like 40 plus 5-star reviews. All our reviews are 5 stars. What we'll do is we'll follow up with a customer once the clean is complete, ask them if they're satisfied. If they are, then we send them the review link. If not, then we go into how do we make it right. Our philosophy is we would rather give a full refund to somebody who isn't satisfied than risk a negative review or negative word of mouth. I know there are other operators that will fight it a little more and be like, oh well, no, we're actually not satisfied or whatever. And we've just taken the approach that we would rather be known as the company that always makes it right. We've actually had 3 or 4 cleans go really, really badly. And because we've done everything to make it right, people have given us a second chance. There's one guy I thought he was like charged 3 times. I sent him screenshots of our, Stripe list, and he gave us a second shot. So I'll have to say that positive reviews and local service ads has really been the main thing that's driven us, and we haven't really had time for other stuff.
No.
So right there at the end, you kind of said something that already answers my next question. What makes you stand out from your competition? You're going above and beyond for customers where you're literally showing them screenshots of your bank account times. And that's what is telling me that Keep is not just like any other corporate run or big franchise cleaning service. So what are some other things, maybe short story or whatever, that you guys have done for customers or maybe your contractors? Like, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I'd love to take a swing at this. So we've determined that if our contractors work full-time cleaning for us with a 2-week vacation, they can make as much money as I was making 8 years ago with a master's degree in education teaching. So which is not, I'm not saying that that's enough for a family of 8 to live on, but most people don't have, large families like that. So we pay a living wage and we make that part of the the sell for our clients is we say to them, we're not Molly Maid. We're not paying our cleaners $12 an hour. We double that. We offer our cleaners a $20 bonus if they get a 5-star review. And so we tell clients that also that's a way that you can put extra money in your cleaners' pockets. It doesn't have any cost to you. It's, our cost, but we want you to be happy. I told you earlier that whoever tells the best story wins, right? So a mother-son business startup
Big time
is a good story, and we
Absolutely.
also are like best friends, and so that is, and I think that's obvious, and we the level of engagement that we have with our clients is texting them and saying, have you had your baby yet? Just wondering if you need your clean. Writing down every detail about the client that will make us remember them in the CRM as we're talking to them is really important. And I've recently just begun to think about how can we practice unreasonable hospitality in this service industry. I forget the name of the guy who wrote this book called Unreasonable Hospitality. And he had his restaurant in New York City was voted the best restaurant in the world by Michelin star. And, how can we go above and beyond so that the slightly higher rates that we charge are considered well worth it in our clients' estimation. So last week, there was a family moving from Missouri, I think, to Michigan. They hired us to do their move-in clean for their rental apartment while they find a house. They've never set foot in Michigan. I drove out there Friday. It's like an hour-long drive. Drove out there, met the cleaner there, brought a bouquet of flowers that were blooming in our yard. And I wrote a postcard telling them that they need to go to this pizzeria in their new town because it's like legendary, and where to find the best beaches that aren't overcrowded because it's right on Lake Michigan. And just try to do something that a regular cleaning company would never do. And I think we try to deliver flowers from our yard to every move-in clean within season that we can, and if it works in our time schedule. So really setting ourselves apart as a company that will always answer the phone, is available to shoot a quick text, always follows up on the clean, just wondering if you were satisfied. Like Max said, we've had some disasters. We had a woman who was hiring us to clean her house before they took pictures of the house and staged it to sell it. And at like 8:00 in the morning on Saturday, I got a phone call, several Saturdays ago, that our cleaners had spilled oven cleaner on her wood floors, and they were ruined. I went over to the house, and I didn't even know what to say. They just completely etched her floor, and we were just we'll make it right. It doesn't matter what cost, we will make it right. And we ended up paying for her floors to be refinished. She just hired us for another job, to move into her new house Friday, wasn't it last week, Max?
Yeah.
So I think the 5-star reviews do not reflect that we have the very best cleaners all the time delivering the very best service,
Sure.
but we consistently have integrity and deliver the best customer service. And that's the whole package. And that's, I think, why we have the 5-star reviews that we do.
Yeah. I also want to add to that as well. I think just our general kind of principle is that happy cleaners mean happy clients, and that means that we are happy. And so, again, and not to beat a dead horse, but there was one time that our cleaner, she's a single mom, it was 7:30 p.m. at night. She was finishing up a late move out clean, like 30 minutes away from our house. And she called me and she was like, my car is dead. Like I've called everybody. I don't know what. So, I drove out. I was able to multitask. I called a few friends I hadn't talked to a while and caught up on the way out there. But like it's like showing up like our cleaners in that, like for our cleaners in that way, I think means a lot to her. She was the same one who she's our best cleaner. Like she's just an absolute killer. And she was having some trouble making ends meet. We gave her like a $500 loan. And we have paid her like a few days early because sure, there was a car payment or a phone payment or something. And so like for us, it's stuff that honestly isn't the most scalable, is not the most efficient.
Yeah.
Like us driving to these places, us giving out these loans, like us just trusting customers, when they say, hey, we're not happy, like us following up with every customer personally, asking them about their baby or their grandkid or whoever, like is not the most efficient way to do it. Like we're not pretending that. And I also want to be clear that it doesn't necessarily make it, the best way for everybody, right? Like, we have the luxury of, I was living at home for a bit, Jen had a second job. And so we could devote a lot of time to this. And this was the kind of company that we wanted to build. It's the kind of company that was best for us. It doesn't mean that it's the best company for somebody who is trying to do this as a side hustle and needs to have, follow up and pay and like all of this stuff that needs to basically not have to worry about that. And so, they use some service to like automate it. So I do want to point that out, that like, we could automate a lot of these processes and some of these things probably aren't necessary. But we choose to do them anyway, because that's the kind of company that we want to build. We want to feel good about, the jobs we're giving to our cleaners and the satisfaction guarantee that we offer our clients. And, we also believe that eventually that's, good for business, where like, we've lost plenty of money on cleans that, we probably could have been like, okay, like, she forgot to dust a few shelves, and those happening the ones that you ran, your finger along. This is a picture of the finger, or like there were small things that were wrong. And, so we've leaned into trying to take, more like 50% off or whatever, but we try to be generous with those, because like at the end of the day, like we can take that hit given our cash flow and given the financial situation that we're in as a company. But just want to reiterate, like, it doesn't make it a superior way of doing business. It's just the way that it's like a much more hands-on, but rewarding. I mean, as you've seen, we've grown over 6 figures in 6 months. So like
well, and we've got 30,000 booked for May alone,
scheduled for May, and
which was like, I mean, so I think that all these things are factors in the kind of growth that we have had. And I think you're right. Max and I want to build a company that we're proud of, with cleaners who feel valued and respected and who are happy and having a semi-fun time doing their job. And I think we're doing that for the most part.
I know you guys are that. You guys are, in all senses of the word, of a family business. Truly, you guys, a mother-son duo. You are taking the word family business, incorporating that with your employees, contractors, and your customers. I mean, Max, you going out and picking up helping out your contractor and driving her home, and doing right by the customers when they're trying to sell their home, and all these things. You are right. It's not for everybody. It's not gonna be for everybody, but it is you guys, and it is Keep, and it is what makes you guys you, and it's gonna keep you guys in it for the long haul. That's gonna be kind of your key to success, which I'm sure you guys already know. I mean, it's not something that you guys are like, you know what, we're gonna make it a family business so we could keep it for the long haul.
Hmm.
that's just from the little that we've been talking. I already see that it emulates off you guys.
Hmm.
That's what
Hmm.
who you are. So
Hmm.
I already, I know that that's great things are to come for you and your business. Of
Thank you.
We hope so.
course. And everybody that I speak to and the different business owners, you guys aren't all doing. You guys are for the majority doing the same thing because structurally for the business you have to. But
Hmm.
there are minute things that everybody's
Hmm.
doing differently that
Hmm.
is working so well for them in their
Hmm.
areas and letting them grow. So, and
Hmm.
that's what you guys are doing. So, how much time in the beginning did you spend on the business versus now? I know, Max, you were talking about hiring,
Hmm.
or you have a call with an IC to take on part time. What was your both between you both in the beginning? How much were you guys putting in per hour a week versus now? Where are you guys at?
I don't know hourly, but I can say that in the beginning, most of our time, I feel like, was spent dealing with drama from cleaners that we hired that we shouldn't have hired.
Sure.
We've learned to be really discerning and to spot red and green flags in ways that we didn't before. Um, I think we were so eager to grow and to, build up our stable of cleaners that we just made bad hires. So I
Hmm.
think a lot of our time was spent in damage control. Um, and it felt really chaotic. It doesn't feel as chaotic now. It is more like the phone's ringing off the hook and we
Hmm.
can't. Right before this call, I was putting together a bid. I'm sure we won't get it because we charge too much for commercial cleans, but for a 300 unit apartment complex to do all their turnover cleans. We were asked to bid last week a 10,000 square foot weekly clean, and I walked through a 9,000 square foot Airbnb. So it's like that the trying to get the staff to be able to service the need is the biggest challenge that we have right now. In the beginning, it was trying to get the staff to even show up and do a good job, and
Yeah.
just so that felt like careening out of control on a daily basis. Like we just had this visceral response when open phone would ding in the morning. It's like, somebody's sick,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And we now have very little of that. Like the two incidents, the two cleaners today,
Yeah.
that's becoming much more
Yeah.
because we're much
Yeah.
more cautious and careful about who we hire.
Yeah. But I will say, like, so yeah, you know, Jen's totally right. Like the damage control, putting out fires, like that was a lot of the beginning stuff. Like we had one cleaner who like got out of her car and into a clean and like smelled like pot, and then like her cleaning partner like fainted in the bathroom, so she calls us and she's like, hey, we're on our way to the ER. So like it was crazy stuff like that in the beginning. Now I would say like the average cleaner that we have is of a much higher quality, and they're a lot more reliable. We also have had time to prove to them that like we are in this together. Like when we win, you win too. Like and that we have their back. But we're just doing way more volume, and so like that means that there almost are like higher chances that something will go wrong. Like today we have 6 cleans. Tomorrow we have 8 cleans. Wednesday we have 8 cleans, and then it kind of tapers off towards the end of next week a little bit. Thursday, Friday are
But
somewhat
it's
slower.
Monday. We could
Right, right,
easily.
yeah, yeah, right. We could book, and it's the first of the month. Like I'm looking at the rest of the month, and it's pretty jam packed. So like even though we have good cleaners, like stuff still happens. Like we had a cleaner who didn't show up to a clean last week Friday because she served her husband divorce papers, and he drove off in the car that had all of her supplies in it. Like and like she's not our best cleaner, but she's still a good cleaner. And like that just happened. You know, we had somebody today who was just sick, and he was like at the clean, but he was sitting in his car and like was trying to push through. Again, the other one, like the our cleaner's girlfriend was in labor. So like we're dealing with stuff like that, but
Sure.
but
Life
it's less like
instances. It's
exactly,
life
exactly.
instances. Things
Yeah,
happen.
it is. And so yeah, like we're dealing with that still, but it's less like chaotic. Like are we worried that this cleaner's not going to show up for their clean? Because we were worried about that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now like it's only if something in their life goes wrong. So it definitely is still busy. But it's different. So I would say now like we're probably both working. Like I would say that I'm working full time. Mom's probably working close to full time, right? I mean, you also are doing your other work as well. Would you say that it's 40 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we're both working full time. Again, part of that is a conscious choice, right? Because we're doing stuff that isn't the most scalable, but that we think will grow the business. We are bringing on another IC, a virtual assistant, to start to take some of the load off of our shoulders, and we're looking to kind of phase that out. Our attitude was like, we want to put in work in the beginning because we had the time and the luxury to do it, figure out what works, and once we have a good system in place, then hire personnel to just do that system for us, or find ways that we can automate. So like we know that like our customer service is, I would say, our biggest competitive advantage. So now that we know that, now it's like, okay, how can we bring people in who can embody that as well? Where are ways that we can automate without losing that personal touch? And where are things that will still have to be done manually, either by us or by another person? So I guess short answer is, mom came in probably working full time, if not more than 40 hours a week.
For sure.
September, October. I probably in November was like 20 hours a week. December was like 20, 25. And then January is when I kind of came on, I would say, full time. And then we've both been working pretty much full time since then.
Excellent.
Michael, can I say one thing that I don't, maybe you've gotten this feedback before, but from BookingKoala, we really thought that the benefit of online booking, I'm a very committed introvert, like card carrying. And so if I can bypass human interaction at any point, I will. So we thought that offering online booking would be great. I would say 98% of our cleans are booked by people who call us, who want to talk with us, who want to just hear our story, and then they book. So it's interesting. But that thing that we thought would be automated actually takes about 12 to, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes per customer per clean.
Sure.
To settle them into a service.
I have heard this numerous times, and it all boils down to, it's the one-time customers, the first time. They find you for the first time. They don't know. There is the convenience factor of the online booking form, but in our day and age, with everything being on the internet, as many great things as there are, there's twice as many scams. Whether it's emails, phishing, or whatever. So that initial call for the one time, 10, 15 minutes, helps get that customer over the hump of, can I trust the company? Am I going to give it a shot? And then once that happens and you get them booked, well, now the convenience factor of rebooking for recurring cleans within their customer dashboard, or if they need to send you an email or give you a quick call because, something happened or missed or whatever. And again, it's the convenience. But yes, there are several people that I speak with weekly that kind of do say the same thing.
Which I don't think is necessarily a bad. I mean, like, it gives us a chance to sell our story, which we think is compelling, especially in an area that's like a lot of families, and like family values are like a big thing. So I like that there are a lot of mom and pop shops. So I think that resonates with our clients. But yeah, we definitely were surprised. Now, like, we still get some online bookings, for sure. And that isn't, but I think all the other tools that you guys offer are great. Like we can adjust bookings pretty easily. We can view our schedule as well. I still wish there was a slightly better way to view availability slash like what cleans we have booked. It's a tad clumsy, but yeah, no, it's like, but to Jen's point, it was surprising to us. We're like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so easy. But then you think like, okay, if I'm going to pay, $45 an hour for this thing, like, do I just want to book somebody randomly, or like, do I want to talk to whoever's going to be either coming to my house or sending somebody to our house? So in hindsight, it kind of makes sense, but that was surprising to us.
And it also depends on the customer, right? Whether it's somebody who has used corporate cleaning services or franchises that have had bad experiences, they want to see who's on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's, someone from a younger demographic who, just graduated college and is all about tech stuff, they're more likely to be the one like,
yeah,
well, I could Google them if they have, social pages and a little bit of an online presence. I trust them enough. I'll try it, put it on a credit card. If it does become a scam, then the credit card company just gives it back to me.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends on who it is. But yeah. So where do you guys see your business in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh gosh.
It could be, revenue wise, it could be growth wise.
I think our ideal goal is to eventually be able to scale back our involvement, keep the business running, but that would mean, hiring somebody, either an IC or a W-2, to run a lot of the day-to-day, to do sales, to do the scheduling, to reach out, to contact cleaners. And then we would mainly handle, like how I've envisioned it is like, we handle hiring, we handle commercial quotes, we handle, in-person meetings with, clients, or, Zoom or whatever. We handle disputes, right? If they get, raised to us. But yeah, like that's at least, and, Jen can speak for herself. I don't want to speak for her, but for me, it's like, I would love to get to the point where I am financially stable enough from the income, from Keep, that I can do whatever else I want, whether that's start another cleaning company, that's another service business, start another branch of Keep, with Jen, or, I have a friend in Salt Lake City who it'd be fun to start, one of these companies with, or is that doing, something completely else? If that's, working on a different startup, building something else, getting in, I don't know, it's like real estate. I don't know what it is, but the like my end goal probably in the next year or two is to have this at a point where my involvement is 5-10 hours a week. And we're still growing. I can put as much time or as little time into it as I want and pursue whatever else that may be. And I think that given our trajectory, like that, like if we can get it to a point where we're doing 50,000 a month, plus, then I think we'll be able to find somebody who can maintain and then grow that, as well, with our involvement scaled down less. I don't know. How do you feel, Ron?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a unknown. What effect do the two of us have on this business? I would say its growth is 90% dependent on our involvement right now. So what would we have to do in order to step back and still maintain that level of like texting clients and answering phones? For me, I still have 3 of our 6 kids at home, and I have told them that we're in startup mode, and but it's been really challenging. When they come home from school, I say hi to them and hang out, but I'm working, and I'm working until 6 o'clock at night, and I start work at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And so, and then Saturdays too, like I've never worked Saturdays before, and now we're open on Saturdays. Um, so I want to get to the point where I don't have to say no to my kids, where I can say yes to them, and where I can confidently walk away and have us continue to grow. So, but because Max and I are partners, what is sustainable income for me is like fantastic income for him. You know what I mean? Because I have so many more dependents.
Mhm.
But I think, yeah, I'd like to use this to build some sustainable wealth for our family. I'd like to get into investing with Max's sister in some real estate, maybe short-term rentals or something. But I feel like what we're learning and the skill set that we are employing in creating and running and growing Keep is really important and helpful. And I think this thing is scalable to the degree that we have the capacity to scale. And that's really exciting, because we were probably, wouldn't you say, Max, it was like September, October, November, maybe December. By the end of December, we were like, we think we might be able to make this work. Until then, it was like,
The aha moment.
I don't know. We just
Yeah.
give another
Yeah.
refund because they were doing drugs on the job. I mean, it was just
Right.
like, it was just a train wreck every other
Yeah.
day. And, but that customer service that we didn't take an owner's draw until January. I mean, not one penny from the company. And,
Which we could have, like we
but
could
not
have,
that much. I mean,
not
we
that
could have
much. No,
maybe
true.
taken like $1,000 each, maybe. I mean, so it was,
Yeah.
so we, anyway, I'd like to get to the point where we have a company culture, and I don't know if that's going to be hiring W-2s or what, but that where we take what we have and what we value, and we infuse that throughout the company. I think we're slowly doing that. We have people who have been with us since the beginning, cleaners who have been with us since the beginning. And we thought many times we were going to lose them. We thought several times we wanted to lose them, but we kept pushing through, and they feel valued, and they feel like they're a part of a team. And that is a good start toward like giving that unreasonable hospitality and delivering that service that's above and beyond what other companies do.
Excellent. Let's go a little bit more software based. Did you guys, when you started in August, so my question, how long have you been using BookingKoala? When you guys first started, were we the go-to software? Did you try somebody else first and then come to us? Did you try us first and then go to somebody else?
No, we tried you first, and then somebody did, it might have been Johnny Robinson, somebody did recommend another, I thought it had the word angel in it, but I could be wrong. Anyway, another like
Jobber is the other one, not Jobber.
No. Anyway, and I didn't care for them at all. So once I like actually dove into, so I do like cold water swimming almost every day. And once I'm actually in the water, I'm loving it. But the dread that I feel before I get in, and that's how I felt for at least a week with BookingKoala. I was like, this is so intimidating, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I didn't want to screw it up. And but once let's let that go, babe. Or you okay. Sorry, it was open phone, customer calling. But once I actually dove in and took it piece by piece, I was really, I found that it became almost fun. And there has not been one aspect of BookingKoala that I've like I cannot figure out how to make this happen. And then I get on with customer service, and it's like it's all really logical and really systematic, and I really appreciate that. The I think once I found your phone number, that was like the end of my like wandering in the desert by myself, because I just use that often, and really felt like for instance, last week, a few weeks ago, we got a call or an email from Google My Business saying we needed to fix the location assets in our Google Ads. Both Max and I'm a Luddite, but Max is like, he's Jen, whatever. And so he totally is tech savvy. I don't even know the name of it. But anyway, and we could not both between us figure out how to make this happen. So I contacted Google Local Services, not our problem. Google My Business has absolutely no customer service whatsoever. And so I ended up calling BookingKoala. This guy was on the phone with me for 2 hours and then made an appointment for the next day because he wanted to do some research. And I was like, this isn't even really your problem, but I'm your customer and you're helping me out. And that's been our experience with BK from the start. Is I've had many times where I've been pretty anxious and called, and they have walked me through, oh, this is how you do that. And I love it. I mean, there are a couple of things that I would like to see changed and revised, but the day that I discovered that you could color code the different cleaners was like, Max said, please tell me you didn't spend more than 5 minutes doing that. I was like, oh, at least 2 hours, like coming up with all the right colors so that our calendar just looks so beautiful. What the hell are you doing?
Absurd.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd love it if you guys would allow a clean to go longer than 24 hours, because for a 10,000 square foot house, for like a move in, move out clean, that's longer than 24 hours. And we just need to put a team on. But last week I figured out how to make a team of 4. I didn't even know you could do that. So I think that the deal is that BookingKoala is such a robust platform and with so many different capabilities that naturally it's going to take a steeper learning curve to orient yourself to the landscape of, what it is and what it offers.
And it's, I will give it to people starting either right now or 6-7 months ago, like you guys did, versus when we first launched. I mean, well, I can't even say double, tripled. I don't even know how much we've grown functionality wise. Because the guys that started then, they had what we had then. And slowly over time, as we were developing the features, they got to learn it then. Now everybody jumping on, like yourselves and everybody else, it's a lot for sure intimidating. So we hear you, we absolutely do, and that's why we try to hire the best customer service and give you guys, like you are doing for your customer experience, because it is overwhelming, and we're not going to be like you said, like Google. Not our problem, you're paying for it, figure it out. No, we know how to do it. You guys are paying, so why not help you and save you the time so you could get back to what you're supposed to be doing and running your business. So we take all feedback all the time. We're trying to make it as streamlined as possible always.
Yeah.
But again, that comes with challenges when you're adding more and more features as time goes on. Yeah. So what kind of drew you guys into using us? I guess maybe you kind of already touched on that, and kind of why.
It was the one that was featured in the first tweet that we saw. It was Johnny, I think. And it, like, we poked around a little bit, but like it almost got to the point where even if we wanted to change, there was that like sunk cost mentality of like, okay, we've already put a lot of time into setting this up and setting it up well, and so it just made sense for us. I think in terms of using it, like now that we kind of know our way around, it's pretty intuitive. Uh, and so yeah, I mean, it was the first one that we saw. It worked well for us. We got it set up, and it was kind of like that. There wasn't really a reason to change. We're not asking this software to do something crazy, and so it works, and it works well in most ways for us. So I think that's probably true. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that, Mom?
Yeah, it just seemed like everybody that was really successful was using it. And there's a guy in Ann Arbor who started last May, so a year ago now. And he's also a graduate of U of M. And so we kind of like went on his website. I don't know if he made it through book, but I know he uses BookingKoala. And so it was just helpful to go on a couple of these websites and to see what they were doing. And then we really imitated it. I mean, there's no need to reinvent the wheel when there's a tech stack that works really well and integrates really well together. So yeah, we've been really pleased. I don't know that we would ever. I don't see any reason why any pull away or push away from BookingKoala in the
Excellent.
now or in the future.
Perfect. And then, so what are one or two of your favorite features that you? Is it color coordinating the contractors on the calendar? I see Max shaking his head no.
No. I don't. I mean, hey, if it makes her happy, then that's great. It was just one of those things where like where like I was like, okay, Mom, like a few of these colors for these different cleaners look similar, and she's like, well, those are the colors for our brand. And I was like, well, no one's seeing this, like so I don't know. It was it was just like so
I'm seeing it.
right. I definitely like that feature.
That's a great feature.
But it carries more weight with her than
It sparks
does for
joy
me.
for me. Yeah,
Right.
for
Is
sure.
all that I will say. Yeah, you go, Mom.
I really I like how it processes through Stripe, and we use a Kodai to bring Stripe transactions into QuickBooks Online. And so for me, that like the automation that's built in there is brilliant. It just feels pretty straightforward. There aren't many areas that I feel like aren't straightforward. The one area that and you asked for things that we liked, so okay, I'll stop. Yeah, I really like how we can walk through the whole form with clients, because 95% of the time we do, and by the end, we've gone through, and I can't remember at this point if it's always this way on BookingKoala or if we have created the form this way or a combination of both. But by the time we get to their credit card, they're ready to give us. I mean, it's a very intuitive kind of flow down the funnel. So
Excellent. What's one feature that we don't have that you wish we did?
I just had two. My first one is the booking time logs. When you go into the booking time logs, there will be a job for 5 hours. It will be assigned to Jessica. And then I look and see how much time was there. But it says it's 5 hours and it's assigned to Jessica, but it's really assigned to Jessica's team. but it doesn't show 2.5 hours for her team. It shows 5 hours. So I have to kind of manually go in there and go view the booking to make sure that it was assigned to Jessica's team and not just Jessica. So I don't like that manual. That's one of the pain points that we're going to offload on Leah, our new independent contractor. And then what else, Max?
I mean, I have a bunch of feedback because, at which I won't get into now. I mean, having done product development and feedback loops, like I know that the stuff that you can change is way more valuable than you guys are doing a really solid job. You know, that's just kind of a boost to the ego. But I will say one feature I wish you guys had is in the scheduling. So if I'm looking at dashboard and I go to week and I go to vertical, it's great that I can see when everybody is available, right? You know, you see the like gray bars when they aren't, and then the window for when they are. So when I'm going through and I'm talking through a client, with a potential client, I'm looking for, you know, times when they are available. That is great. But it's pretty clumsy to the sense where like I have to scroll through all of Sunday when people like aren't available, and I wish there was a way just to easily filter out like if a cleaner isn't available on that day, then I don't want to see their grayed out bar. I just want to see the cleaners who are free, so that then I can get a super quick snapshot of, hey, here are all the time slots we have available for this week. Again, as I said, we're working with 14 subs. We've got like 20 to 30 cleans, 40 cleans sometimes each week, and so it works. But it's a bit clumsy in terms of like navigating, and because then I have to scroll all the way over the side. I came on Monday, now I'm in Tuesday. I'm looking at, okay, that there are some small slots there. So I think that there are little tweaks could be made to that vertical display for the week that would help us schedule a lot and walk through with clients like when we have windows available.
Okay, I'll definitely pass that along, and we'll see what we can do about that, for sure.
Yeah.
Another thing is that when you go to add a booking and you do a repeat customer, BookingKoala doesn't remember the size of their house, so the square footage, which is how we base our, so it remembers their phone number, their credit card, their address, but it always defaults to 1,000 square feet. Now, maybe that's something that we can change, that I just don't know how, but that's frustrating to me because
then you have to go back and look at their previous.
You have to go back and look at it, and you're trying to fake that you know how big their house is, and you can't remember. And, you know, it seems like if you're going to store, if you can store all that information about a customer, the square footage of their house and what kind of clean they had can also be stored. That would be super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It should be.
It's not. Or it's not for us, and somebody just needs to come and help us, because that's like, if no matter what it is, if we put in a repeat customer, it has all their information but defaults to 1,000 square feet.
Okay, I would contact support just because it should be in there, and if not, then it'll be on its way. One last question. One last question for everybody watching this. Some words of encouragement for them who are on the fence. What would you say to them to finally get over the hurdle?
Well, I think that we have found two things to be true that are widely circulated amongst the cleaning community and the service community on Twitter. The thing that's true is that this is totally possible. With the tech stack, with very little startup money, you can build a successful and profitable service company in a very short amount of time. That was shocking to me. It still is shocking to both of us. The thing that I feel like is not completely transparent is that it takes a lot more work than what at least I thought in the beginning. I remember reading a couple of tweets where you could build out like BookingKoala in a day or two. And I remember thinking, I must be the dumbest person in the room because this is so much more work than what I thought it would be. And so I think you can do it, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take phone calls to customer service. It's going to take lots of Googling and learning from people who have gone ahead of you, and a commitment to deliver the best service and and lose money in the beginning and the middle and maybe even the end, in order to make that happen.
Mhm. Um, uh, I would say, yeah, to echo what Jen said, like it is definitely doable. It's, as I said earlier, it's something where you're not trying to like manufacture demands. Like people will always want their houses clean, so you're entering a scenario where people are actively looking for you're not trying to make your product go viral for some new software solution or whatever. Like people just know they need house cleaning, so you have that tailwind there. That's significant. You just need to find a way to capitalize on it. I will say also that yeah, it's a lot of work, but any business is going to be a lot of work. You don't have to be, super smart. You don't have to be super qualified. Like you kind of just have to show up each day and do it. I mean, that's now on my second startup, if you don't count the knife company when I was 10. Like it's consistently showing up, and it's you have bad days, you have good days, but it's about showing up the next morning or night or whenever, and just putting in work again, and results will follow. There also is a super vibrant community of people on Twitter who are more than willing to share. I mean, we share stuff. Like I'm going to tweet out later a guide about how to help ICs get insurance. Like people are very willing to help. There's like all the resources that you need. So in terms of like, if you're thinking about starting your first company, or you haven't ever done this before, I would say that this has the most tailwinds. There's the most going for you in this company than any other ones. It doesn't have to be home cleaning. It could be lawn service or pool cleaning or window cleaning or whatever it is. But there is a lot going for you, and there are people who will support you if you're willing to put in the work. And eventually, I think you can achieve financial freedom, and you can have built something sustainable and long term, which is really valuable, and a lot of people don't ever have. And so I think it's a really unique opportunity that is made possible by software like y'all's and other ones. So
excellent. Well, yeah. Guys, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. And we will definitely be in touch.